Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is How to Get Away with Murder, Season 5, Episode 2. And the name of this episode is Whose Blood Is That? This was a really good episode, y'all. And before I get started, let me send a shout out to some of my fellow YouTubers who review this show. My sister Kayla from Rambling Reviews, Mike B, who else? Romy from Romy Reviews, Ashley Miller, and who else reviews this show that I know of? Well, there may be some others that may pop up in my mind, but those are the ones I remember at this moment. But yes, this is definitely a show that's one of my favorites. And sorry it's late. I've pretty much been kind of under the weather this weekend, but I'm ready to give you guys this review. So let me begin. Okay, the episode picks up, from the actual wedding, where there's a murder that takes place at the wedding. We see that Bonnie picks up baby Christopher and pretty much takes him inside. And as we can see, the wedding took place in the church, and there's a tent set outside for the reception. So quiet as is kept, they ended up getting married in the church after all. So then So then it goes back to 2.5 months, 2.5 months, prior to the wedding. We see that Bonnie is packing up the room that Laura was staying in with all the baby stuff. Pretty much Frank is like, I need to go make me some new friends, because he's still, in his feelings because Laurel turned down his proposal. We see that Annalise gets her a new place, and I was so happy for Annalise. Annalise got the place all decked out. She's got, decorative pillows, and she just has the whole place just, it's really posh. So her money from Cat Plan and Gold, took her out of that, that dark ass hotel room she was staying in, and now she's got a new place, and she's living high, and she looks great, and I'm so happy for it. So then we also get a glimpse into the actual frat house where the Keating kids are living, minus Asher. And we see that there's a whole bunch of craziness going on. You got baby Christopher, and Laurel's trying to get, trying to set up daycare for him. But meantime, Oliver is on baby duty. And we see that Michaela's, shirt got turned purple because Oliver put his shirt inside of inside her washing. And I'm gonna get to that shit, because Oliver really was pissing me off this episode, aka Olive Oil, and I'm about to get in that ass, cause yeah, Oliver was doing entirely too much. But we see all that going on. Then we see that Nate meets up with the DNA lady, that he slept with on the last episode. She pretty much lets him know that she can find out where the sample came from. So she lets him know that it came from Washington, D.C., and it was listed under missing persons, or missing children. So then we get a glimpse, because I'm starting to wonder, is this person Gabriel, and is Gabriel really Bonnie's son? So the jury is still out on that, but the way things are kind of coming together is looking that way, because right after that, we get a scene with Gabriel and Frank. And remember the last episode, he found Gabriel on the basketball court and decided to challenge him for a game. Gabriel pretty much beat his ass on the court. And shout out to Rome Flynn, because he's actually a very good basketball player in real life. So here he is, he doing what he do. And then we see that pretty much Frank decides to take a break during the game. So when he does that, he goes by the gym bags. He sees Gabriel's gym bag and his. He gets his phone, and he has this device where he can actually track information off of the other person's phone. He tried to do that with Gabriel's phone, but Gabriel has a flip phone, and it wasn't working. He later on meets up with Oliver, and Oliver tells him, well, that's impossible because it's a flip phone, and flip phones are designed especially so that no one can hack their information, or pretty much get or pretty much get their information out of their phones. So this is pretty much kind of questioning Frank, because here it is, Gabriel's in college and he's got a flip phone. So what the hell is Gabriel hiding? So he wasn't able to trace Gabriel's phone, but then he gets Gabriel another way, and I'm gonna get to that. Then we see that Annalise is at the legal clinic, and we see that Emmett's ass shows up. Now Emmett is actually played by Timothy Hutton. He's kind of playing somewhat of that same asshole role that he played in Last Holiday with Queen Latifah, where he's this authoritarian, and it's like it's his way or no way. So pretty much, because he's the only one that vouched for Annalise. So the only reason why she's at Kaplan and Gold is because Emmett vouched for her. But Emmett is literally on her back 24/7. Like, he wants to know everything that's going on. And besides, it's Kaplan and Gold who is now sponsoring the clinic, and that's where they're able to get that $64,000 prize towards their tuition. And I'm saying that's some Ivy League shit for you, because that $64,000 for 1 year, damn, you really got to come from money to go to that school. So pretty much, Annalise starts the class. She starts talking about about her doing her small claims, cases that she's gonna start. And the first case that they start working on is the case of Nanda Hashim, who's being convicted for killing her wife. And she's a Muslim immigrant, and her wife was a white woman, and she's being prosecuted for killing her wife. So pretty much, this was a case that was handled by a public defender who didn't fully defend her. So pretty much they start asking. So pretty much Annalise is saying, so what can be the legal argument as to why we should try this case? I think it's Laurel who stands up and was like, well, because she really didn't know the language, but her wife was an English teacher, so she learned English from her, so that wasn't gonna work. Then Gabriel stood up and was like, well, what about her her state of mind? I mean, after all, her coming from from the Middle East to here, I'm pretty sure she's probably had to deal with PTSD and some other things, because she actually escaped from a concentration camp, and he was pretty much saying that, look, back in those days, PTSD wasn't even a diagnosis, so that ain't gonna work. And then Connor had mentioned, well, what about the kids? And she was saying that right now that's far-fetched and you can't lead with that. But the funny thing about it, they actually come back to it. But then Michaela, and the thing is, she was avoiding Michaela the whole class, and I think the main reason why she's avoiding Michaela is because, for two reasons. One, she's hating the fact that Michaela's smelling herself, and she also feels some kind of way because she went against her when it came down to the verdict on Simon. Because remember, the last season, Michaela had called ISIS and had Simon deported. So she finally calls on Michaela. Michaela says that, I'm going to mention what you guys already overlooked. First of all, did her attorney literally walk her through what she was doing? Because here it is, she signed the guilty plea, but she tried to appeal it from jail. So obviously, did her lawyer give her full information that if you put in a guilty plea, you can't take it back and it's permanent? So that gave Annalise like, okay, that's a good idea. And we see that she talks to Annalise and Michaela go to talk to Nanda, and she pretty much is just real confident, was like, yes, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this, and I will guarantee you that we will rectify this situation and everything. And Annalise was like, first of all, you just got on the case. There's no need for you to be real cocky because you don't know how this is going to turn out. Well, she's like, then Michaela's like, well, it's my case and I can do it my way. And then Annalise was like, oh no, pump your brakes, sis. This is my case. And I'll pull you off any second I want to. And she was like, so tell me, there's a reason why you put me on this case, you know, of her being a gay immigrant is because to punish me for what I did to Simon. She says, Simon, I'm putting you on this case because this is a case that not only if she gets convicted, she will get 20 years. After that, she will be deported back to her country where she's going to be raped or killed in a concentration camp. Oh, but no pressure. I'm like, Annalise, you better get her damn ass because Michaela has been a bitch since season 4, and she really had to get her together because she was just doing too much. And I just kind of cracked up at that scene because Annalise got her all the way together, and I'm glad she did because Michaela is too busy smelling herself. You know, so therefore we see that Nate goes all the way to because the thing is, Nate is the one that has all the files on Annalise and the whole Keating crew. He has everything. All this time, you know, Bonnie's thinking Miller has it. Nate has everything. And from the looks of things, Miller may not know anything. Or does he? And time will find that out. But we know that Nate has the files. And shout out for Mike B, because Mike B had did a video last week where he was talking about Nate having the files and what is Nate's intention behind this. Why is he going out of all this way to find out all this information about Bonnie? Because he obviously knows Bonnie's history, but now we see he's up in DC trying to find this lost baby. And they go pretty much what ends up happening is that when he goes to the facility, they let him know that he needs you know, a signature from an acting DA because, you know, the previous DA, Denver's dead, and the acting DA right now is Miller. So they told him that you will need a signature from an acting DA for you to give us before we can give you any information. So we see that that he does go to Miller, and how the way he does it, he has them sign all of these different documents, but before he gets to that document, he starts talking about Bonnie. And him and Bonnie obviously have gotten some, they've definitely connected, and there's a kinship that has been created, you know, between the two of them, because they end up having sex and they kind of have a little office date and stuff, but it's kind of behind closed doors. But you know, Nate lets him know that, look, you know, Bonnie's a good person, she deserves it, and, you know, just do right by her or whatever. And then we see that he ends up signing the document. And we also know that the baby father of Bonnie's baby is a congressman. So that's just taboo in and of itself, because what ends up happening is that Nate ends up taking the information back to DC. He ends up getting the information, and they find out that she had a boy. And the baby will be about 20 years old, probably around the same age as Gabriel. And but the thing about it is that the baby was actually taken 2 days after he was born, and then they have a picture of this woman who took the baby. The question is it Bonnie? Or could it be somebody that's working with the congressman who's trying to get rid of the baby, you know, trying to avoid a scandal? So, in time we'll find that out. So now we actually go to the actual case. And one thing that they decided to do was that they wanted to put the actual public defender who was heading Nanda's case on, you know, they wanted him to put him on the stand to get to the bottom that he actually go through protocol when actually talking to a client about, you know, signing a guilty plea. So that's what they ended up doing. But we see that Michaela is trying to. She wants someone. She's gonna be first chair to try Donaldson on the stand, and she's looking for people to actually act as Donaldson. Nobody wanted to work with her. There was this girl, Brenda, was like, shoot, I ain't helping your ass get that $64,000. Shoot, you can go somewhere with that. And then, it was actually Gabriel who stepped in and says, okay, I'll step in. And then the girl was like, you gonna help her get the money? He says, it's not about the money. This is about genocide. I mean, Nanda escaped a concentration camp only to come to the United States to be put in our prisons. And so, and we can definitely tell, like, definitely Gabriel's fine. So, of course, she was like, okay, thank you, Gabriel. And they was about, and Kayla, here it is, Michaela's about to, do like, go back and forth with him. And then all of a sudden Tegan showed up and she was like, oh, hi, Tegan. Miss Price. Deer in headlights. And Tegan just walked away because Tegan's now mad. She goes to Annalise. She says, first of all, you got Michaela's ass in here, but then you also got Miss Constellas here too, Laurel. And she was like, well, they're my students, but it's not a big thing. And then all of a sudden Laurel comes in and she sees Tegan and she's like, oh, I just really want to thank you for everything that you've done for us. I wish I would have been able to see you sooner. She says, do you find it a coincidence that you haven't seen me? Or are you as dumb as that damn girl Michaela? She's like, never speak to me again. And I mean it. And I was like, damn. So Tegan don't want to be known at all. Because we know that Tegan was the whistleblower from season 4. She was the one that gave up Mr. Castile, to the authorities. So therefore, Laurel is actually talking to Annalise, and she's trying to ask Annalise, can she help her, as far as finding childcare for Christopher. She was saying, sweetie, you need to figure that out on your own. There are women out here who got it harder than you, and they figure out what to do about their children. You're a mother now. You need to figure that out of how you're gonna work out your situation with childcare. So then we get a scene between Miller and Bonnie because, as I said earlier, they're getting close. But we pretty much see that Bonnie's still helping Miller with his speech, since now he's the new acting DA. But then he also lets her know he wants to go on a date or whatever. But Bonnie's like, look, you're a public figure now. We don't need to be out in the... you don't need to be seen with an underling. So he's kind of like, fine, we can kind of do it in the office. I'll get some paper cups or whatever. And then the next thing we see Asher shows up. And Asher is trying to get a job as an intern in the DA's office. Miller completely blows his ass off because, Asher is just over the top. But we love Asher. And then Asher tries to, talk to Bonnie. And Bonnie's like, absolutely not. He's saying, but, you left Annalise and you got a job here. She says, yes, I got me a job here. But you need to stop acting like an entitled millennial and go get your own damn job. And then we see later on, he comes back again and runs into Miller. And he's still trying to, get on Miller's good side. But Miller blows him off again, And while he's in Bonnie's office, Asher sees the actual speech that Miller's going to give. So later on, the third time around was the charm because Asher pretty much told him like, yo, you need to take that speech and you need to throw it where the sun don't shine because that speech is not good. And as a matter of fact, it's just going to make you look like Denver's bitch boy. You need to separate yourself from Denver because the thing about it, people want a DA that's gonna have, that's gonna have conviction and who's gonna be, upholding the law. And we know that Denver had a bad record. So you want to separate yourself from that completely, be your own man, and actually set the trend as to what you're gonna do differently and how you're gonna make, your role as DA better than before. So Miller decides to hire Asher as his DA, and he pretty much flipped it on Bonnie. Was like, not bad for a millennial, huh? I'm like, that's what's up, Asher. So it's like he's starting to take what Annalise said, that he needs to, man up, that, either he's, sucking up or he's being a clown, and that you need to be more in control of your destiny. And we see in this scene with Asher, I was rooting for Asher because Asher got the job and he did it by his own merit. And he just used his instincts and he went with it. Right, so therefore, now at Nanda's case, we see that Donaldson, the public defender, is on the stand. Michaela's grilling him, asking him about did he follow protocol as he was supposed to do, when Nanda decided to sign, pretty much to sign the guilty plea or whatever. And he starts going off at Annalise and was like, you see all this crap you're doing, Annalise? You up in here, getting people fired out their jobs, getting people laid off, and you're doing all this crap. And she was saying that I'm not doing it to personally attack anybody. I'm doing it because, these people have not been given a fair trial. And he was like, yeah, and you're making it even worse because you're trying to change a system that's already screwed up. So he was just in his feelings because he got put on blast. And she was saying that, well, Michaela was like, well, is there anything in this that can refute that you did what you were supposed to do? And he was saying that, look, you got my testimony on file. And she was saying, are you sure? Because after all, this case was tried 3 years ago and you had 8 other cases at that time. So are you sure that you went through protocol and did everything you were supposed to do? So I was like, Michaela did pretty well, being first chair. She got him real good. She shook him down, and he really pretty much didn't have anything else to say. But then as far as the prosecution, on the other hand, they dug up some information that that Nanda's marriage was a fraud because she was already married to a man, back in her home country who's now deceased. So technically she was straight. And here it is, she married this woman, Mary, for a green card, and they were pretty much saying that her marriage was a sham. So, and of course, Annalise and Michaela were taken aback by it because they knew nothing about this. So Annalise was going in on Nanda's ass and was like, what the hell were you thinking? Why would you put me out there like that and you would not tell me this? But she lets her know that, look, it was true that yes, she agreed that we decided to marry because, my visa was running out and, I was able to get it reinstated by us getting married. But, I actually fell in love with her. I think, oh my bad, I said her name was Mary. Her wife's name was Allie. And she's like, I actually fell in love with Allie. And think of it. She converted into Islam for me. Now, if that ain't love, I don't know what is. But then again, it's all about facts. What can you prove to a jury? So then we see that Annalise takes it back to the lab, with the rest of the students. And she pretty much says that, okay, we, kind of reached a dead end as far as Nanda, getting her off. So now we need to look into the kids. And then Connor was like, oh, like I said. And she was like, yeah, so much that I forgot. Like, Connor was like, yeah, but you wanted to lead with that and it was too soon. But now it's a plan B. And pretty much, here it is, Annalise is trying to navigate how this is going to be done. But then Michaela is giving all this bunch of lip back saying that you don't tell me what to do. You're not going to bully me like you did Bonnie. And that's why Bonnie left you. That's why everybody leaves you. And Annalise was like, you keep it up, I'm going to show you a bully in a minute. I was like, you better get her ass. Because like Michaela is just smelling herself. And she literally had to pull her down like, boo-boo, no, we need to find information about the kids because there has to be something that we can use as proof to show that Nanda's innocent. So pretty much they said that, well, we need to do like a background check on them. And of course, they're like, we don't have anybody. But then we see that Oliver shows up. And everybody's surprised to see him. And Laurel's like, where's my baby? We see that Frank got the baby. And we see that Frank's outside with little Christopher. And we see that he meets this girl. And him and this girl instantly click and hit it off. And she's definitely drawn to him because he's a single man with a baby. So, of course, that's definitely a turn on. And then, like, we see later on, him and the girl do end up having sex or whatever. Because Laurel comes back to Bonnie's house. And the girl's there. And then Laurel has a nerve to be all self-righteous and shit. Like, I can't believe you had her around my son. And, like, how irresponsible is that? He said that, first of all, I had the monitor on me. And me and you used to do it all the time. You didn't have a problem then. And he's like, you can't be angry. And you're right, she can't be fucking angry. You ain't won his motherfucking ass. So you can't get mad that he moved on to somebody else. But we know that's Laurel. Laurel's a selfish, spoiled bitch. And she's used to getting her way. So we already see that going on. And then, like I mentioned, Miller and Bonnie end up having sex. And, while they're getting dressed, Bonnie gets a call from Annalise, and Annalise invites Bonnie to dinner. Then we see later on that Emmett comes into Annalise's office and gives her a case about this rich guy who actually kills his business partner, and he's saying that this is a good case for you. And she was saying that really, as of right now, I'm about restoring the reputation of this firm, and I think my cases my cases involving the poor are far more important than me defending some rich bastard who killed his business partner. So she immediately just blew him off, and we could see Emmett was not happy about that shit. So then we see that Annalise and Bonnie have dinner, and she actually makes a confession that she likes, that she's been talking to Miller and she's been following him, but then yet she now has feelings for him or whatever. And of course Annalise ripped into her and said that I won't even begin to tell you how stupid this is, because before that Bonnie had went to Nate and told Nate about it, and she said that Annalise gonna think I'm stupid, that I'm an idiot for doing this. And Nate says, well, who's going to think you're an idiot? You or Annalise? Because at the end of the day, it's up to you. But her and Annalise go back and forth, and she pretty much makes a point that, well, I'm alone and I'm trying to live my life. She says, yes, but you need to live your life responsibly. And being alone, is one thing, but it's one thing to, deal with mess or create mess. And how do you know you're not creating more mess for yourself? And she says it's kind of like the same thing with Sam. You always want men that you can't have. And she's like, no, he wants me. And she's like, how the hell you know that? She says, because if he didn't want me, if he would have known what's in my file, he wouldn't want nothing to do with me. And Annalise kind of had to double back. She's like, okay, she got a point there. So we saw that go on. Now I'm about to get into Oliver, aka Olive Oil, with his runny, messy ass. Because here it is, Michaela is still still one of the heads of the case, and they're now trying to find out information, and they're talking about the LGBTQ, and Gabriel is having this conversation with Connor and Oliver, and they pretty much saying that, hey, if you're curious, B stands for bi, and bi makes up a good portion of our population as far as the LGBTQ community, and people need to realize that queer is normal, and once people get away from all the weirdness and all of the taboo, ideals of it, people will see how normal, being queer really is, And pretty much Michaela was like, what you mean normal? Like, aren't you getting married? And she's like, well, yeah. I'm getting married to my boo because I love him, but I'm not doing it because that's what society is telling me what I should do. You know, I'm leading my own drum or whatever. So then Michaela goes to ask Oliver, did he come up with some information? And he was like, no, and I'm gonna need a snack. Just blew her off, and she was like, why are you being so mean? And he was like, look, we're dealing with a case dealing with a gay immigrant, so I have the right to feel some kind of way right now. You know, and I was just like, so he's like, I have the right to be petty at this point. And I'm just looking at this bitch and I'm like, Oliver, you trifling motherfucker. Because at the end of the day, you were involved in the bullshit too, setting up Simon last season at Kaplan and Gold. You were the one who told the crew that he was an illegal immigrant. And it was your idea that when they stole Tegan's card to hack into the files, that to put the card on Simon, and you know, but then the whole plan was that putting it on Simon, and Simon could look like a whistleblower, and they would have given him, you know, a green card, you know, and they would have offered him citizenship. But yeah, it was fucked up that Michaela did deport him. But Michaela made the right decision because Simon was a piece of shit. And everybody that has been watching the show knows how grimy and manipulative Simon was. Because Simon was even got to the point where if I don't like my deal, and if my deal is not the way I want it, I'm going to tell the police everything that happened that night. So it means the show. So Michaela peeped the fact that this nigga was I'm sorry, not this nigga. My apologies. But she pretty much peeped that this motherfucker was literally playing the game the whole time, and he was just, you know, dangling them by strings, and that's the reason why she had him deported, because he was going to continue to hold things over their heads. It was never going to end. And the only reason why Oliver is sweet on him is because he was in love with you, but yet you just like the attention that he was giving you. So here it is, you smelling yourself, but yet you were a part of the bullshit too, Oliver. So you ain't in no position to judge or anything like that. And we seen that Connor felt some kind of way about that, because he was just looking like you are really doing too damn much. So later on, we see that Annalise comes back, and Oliver does find something. He hacks into the son's account, whose name is Josh, and they find out that he's a part of this organization called Striving Truth, which is this racist organization, and he's been funding them for years. So pretty much, Annalise like, great. Well, if we can actually prove this in court, Nando walks free. And Michaela's like, okay, yeah, I can break him down just like I broke down the public defender. And she was like, you sure? Because after all, this just become a murder case now. So are you sure you're ready for this? And we see that, you know, Michaela was kind of hesitant. But then we also saw that even in this, you know, Connor and Oliver were there, you know, so therefore Oliver's idea about the kids actually ended up coming to play later on. And here it is, Oliver was trying to like, well, I think Connor should have the case because, you know, he was the one who thought about the kids. You know, just trying to discredit Michaela at every chance he gets. And I'm like, sit your ass down, Olive Oil. But pretty much what ended up happening is that Michaela decided to take second chair, and she let Annalise lead it. So she puts Josh on the stand. Pretty much, she asks him about, you know, his relationship with his stepmother, and she was saying like, you know, we were close, you know, and she said that, you know, so how do you feel about her being a Muslim immigrant? And then she finds the screen name Barfly22, and pretty much it was in this speech he's denouncing, you know, Muslims, saying that they need to be eradicated and go back to where they came from, and that they need to be killed and all this stuff. And he was like, okay, it's free speech. It's like, yeah, but this is what you said, you know. And isn't it and don't I find it really funny that here it is, you started spreading this lie that your parents were going to get a divorce, when your mother had no intentions of leaving her. And then, she starts grilling him, and then he was like, oh yeah, the public defender was right. You are putting criminals back on the street. And she was like, well, no, because it seems to me that here it is, you were at that location, and the cell phone and, the lines can put you there. And here it is, you thought it was Nandi. You thought it was Nanda going into the mosque, but here it is, it was your mother, and she was dressed in the headgear. Here it is, you ran over your own mother, all because you hated Muslim, and then he begins to tell Annalise, you're a stain on this country, just like her. And that was the telltale right there that he wanted her dead, and he was the one that was behind it. So he gets arrested and pretty much is going to be serving life in prison. And Nanda gets off, but then she goes to see Josh's sister. I think her name was I forgot her name, but she's crying or whatever, and she was like, my mom would be so ashamed, and she said she would be ashamed of what he did. She would not be ashamed of you. And then we see that her and her stepdaughter are rekindling their relationship, and I was like, even after all of that, she still decided to be there for her stepdaughter, and it showed the kind of character and good-hearted person Nanda really was. So justice was served. So then we see later on that Gabriel gets a call that he's been kicked out of his apartment. And then you got messy Oliver's ass saying like, well, you can come stay with us. And it kind of was like, really? And he was like, yeah, we can kick out Michaela and move him in. And he was like, what? You ain't getting enough, putting your damn shirt in her laundry to fuck up her blouse? He's like, don't you think it's getting old that you're being so vindictive? And I'm like, finally, Connor, get your boy in line, because he just been doing too damn much. And for him to be involved in this shit and then trying to act all innocent, like, sit your ass down, Oliver, for real. So then, pretty much Annalise congratulates Michaela, and she says that she says, I applaud you because you admit what you didn't know. You could have went after it, but you knew damn well that wasn't the right move, so you decided to let me do it, and it shows that you're becoming an adult because you admit what you don't know, and that's real. So then we see that Tegan gets a run-in with Emmett. Emmett lets her know, do you know that Miss Castile's that Mr. Castile's daughter has been in the clinic? She's like, yeah, she's been working with Annalise. She says that she knows who the whistleblower was, who convicted her father. And then we see Laurel just looking right at Tegan. I'm like, Laurel, you messy bitch. But she was spot onto it though, because what she did was that she said her mother did it and that her mother disappeared. I really do think she killed her mother, y'all. I don't sleep on Laurel for shit, because her father even last season told Annalise, you really don't know what my daughter's capable of. And I think Laurel would do some mess up shit. So she pretty much kind of throws it out there that, yeah, my mother was the whistleblower. She's the one that turned my father in. She depended on him for everything. But then she kind of gave that eye to Tegan like, yeah, bitch, I'm going to need a favor because I just protected your ass. And what she does is that she ends up getting little Christopher in the daycare at Plan and Gold. So her plan worked. So then we see that back at the house with the Keatings, with the Keating 3, we see that they're eating s'mores or whatever, and pretty much Connor says that Oliver has something to tell you, and he admits that he intentionally put his purple shirt in with her laundry. And then he also asks, can she be one of their best men for the wedding? and she agrees. So now they're on good terms. Yeah, I'm glad that Connor got his boo together, because I literally wanted to slap the dog shit out of him, because he was just doing the most. Then we see that she won her first class action case, and Annalise is feeling herself, but then Emmett goes in and he just starts going in, saying that, I know you're used to being in charge, but right now I'm in charge, and from this point on, you're gonna run everything through me, everything with your clinic, and every single case that you're dealing with. And she says, I know you on your high that you're doing this Girl Scout case, but you need to put that shit aside and actually you do the cases that I give to you, because right now we're kind of in the tank and we need you to help us to make some money. And she agreed. But I was like, that damn Emmett just could not help himself. He's so used to being that authoritarian white man. He can't take this black woman telling him what to do. And he just kind of just flipped the fuck out. You're gonna make this firm some money, and you're gonna run everything through me, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay. But at the end of the day, she's also helping to reestablish your reputation, because after Mr. Castile being taken down, Kaplan and Gold is kind of like struggling. So then we actually see that Gabriel goes to his apartment and sees that the apartment's empty or whatever, just his mattress and a few things. And Asher, who's now staying at Wes's old place, stays across the hall. So we see him and Gabriel are pretty much bonding or whatever, and we see that, so pretty much Gabriel has his own apartment. Now he's staying across the hall from Asher, and him and Asher are talking. And we see there's a camera in there that Frank has set up, and we see that the girl that he slept with was actually Gabriel's roommate, and he gave her a stack of money to say to kick out your roommate. So she did kick Gabriel out. So now he's in a place where he can keep his eye on him. And he was saying, like, if he's here to hurt her, I'll find out. And we don't know what the hell that's about. So we're going to see. We just have to keep watching. So then it goes, back to the actual date of the wedding. Bonnie takes the baby inside. She cleans the baby up and everything. Then we see Michaela come. So we know Michaela's alive. Then we see Laurel show up to get the baby. But then as soon as Laurel leaves, Michaela notices there's blood on Bonnie's leg. And she's like, whose blood is that, Bonnie? Bonnie, whose blood is that? And that's where it ended. So we're going to find out eventually whose blood was that and who got murdered at the wedding. But that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them all listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of How to Get Away with Murder. So until next time, everybody, take care.